Alright, so if you have a friend or a family member with a drinking problem, I have a pretty easy solution for them. You play a drinking game with them. Every time Barkov takes a shot, they take a shot. They should probably be off of the booze within a week. That said, Barkov has unearned his position. We are going to go with the rat master himself. Can the puck stay there? No. We'll have to find another. We'll just put the puck right. No, that's covering the Leaping Panther. So Barkov has been replaced by Scott Mellenby for purposes of this game. Let's do this. You ready? Here we go. It did it. I don't believe it.
Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go! Go!
Puck drop. And 3, 2, 1.
Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go! Go!
Alright, Panther fans, so, as you all know, if you have followed this channel, I just love an afternoon hockey game. Nothing better than coming inside from the nice, gorgeous 65-degree and sunny day and having to watch your team. Usually we don't do so good in the afternoon games. You see what I'm saying? And I suppose partially that's because these guys are down in Florida and you're used to having a kind of a routine, right? You go to the beach during the day. You go fishing during the day. You enjoy the warmness during the day. And then you play hockey at night. Hockey should be at night. Meanwhile, the Canes and Islanders started at 1 o'clock. Not a fan. So, what do we got for today? I don't know who's in goal. We'll know by the next time you see me. We'll know. But I've been hearing it's Lion, and then I got people on the stream saying they're hearing it's going to be Bob. I'll be straight with you. You guys know I kind of thought when he pulled Lion that was it, that he was going to go with Bob. If I was Maurice right now, I would switch to Bob. Now, if that's not saying I don't think Lion can handle it, I don't think Lion can do the job, but that's 3 goals from glove side. And if he gives up another one, how bad is it going to be? At what point would you say, okay, let's put the $10 million goalie? I think the point to make the switch is now. But I'm not going to rip Maurice if he leaves Lion in. He's not like he's played terrible. And realistically, just like the series against Tampa, goaltending is not our problem in this series, okay? Scoring, energy, effort, consistency are our problem, with the exception. That's 50% of the problem. All of those things added up. The other 50% is the anemic, disgusting, pathetic, ridiculously horrible power play. To the point that if you're on the streams watching with Kyle and I'm happy. I'm pointing out they could have called that. I'm glad they didn't. They could have called. It's the opposite world. It's bizarro world. I'm watching calls that could be called penalties, so the Panthers would be on the power play, and I'm thankful to the refs that they're not calling it. So we've got Luxmore in there today, which, look, just keep it even, okay? Just, you know Boston's going to get a couple power plays. The bigger problem is not so much our penalty kill, but it's when we go on the power play, it's so bad that it just completely deteriorates and destroys any momentum we have at that point. So, I've been predicting higher score games, and they've been going lower. So I'm going to go with just about the most ridiculous and possible prediction here. 2-1 Panthers. Look, I changed the shirt. This is the shirt I was wearing during the winning streak. You see? Number 34. It's a Beezer shirt, okay? So that probably means that they're going to put Bob in that since I've changed to, you get the idea. 2-1 Panthers. This is it, okay? Let's also not pretend. If we win this game, it's going 7 games. If we lose this game, by next weekend, everybody's playing golf. All right, we're not going to go down 3-1 and then go into Boston and win Game 5. That ain't happening until it does, and then I'll say that you know how this works. But this is honestly, with all reason, this is our season right here. You win this, you get it tight 2-2. We're going 7. I'm not a fan of afternoon hockey. Let's move on and see what happens. All right, so it's 1-0 Bruins after 1. I feel like the game has already been like 6 periods. So Bob is in. Fitzgerald is in for Carlson. Whatever, Maurice. Whatever, man. Now he did make one move that I liked that I was hoping to see. Duke is scratched. Dalpe is in on the third line. Okay. So the goal that Boston scored. All I can tell you is I thought I heard the whistle. The TNT announcer said they heard the whistle. It sounded like we heard a whistle, but no review, no challenge, no nothing, just good goal. We have to score goals. You know, when you score no goals, a goal here or a goal there, it all just makes it just amplifies it to the point where you just end up losing your mind over one goal. The puck was loose right in front of Bob's nuts. And he was looking everywhere but his nuts. He's looking everywhere, and he never looked down. And I'm not blaming him, but the puck was loose right there. And so, of course, Marchand puts it away. And but just forget the part where the whistle blew or the whistle didn't blow, or the puck was loose and Bob didn't. Forget that part. The part is that every time Boston is in front of our net, they can get in front of our net. Ullmark has given up rebound after rebound after rebound. It's insane. It's like he's putting the rebounds in front of the crease on purpose, because every damn time he gets a rebound, there's 3 Bruins, there's no Panthers. None whatsoever. Nobody's there in front of the net. Tkachuk just... we have a power play. Tkachuk enters the zone. And instead of just taking a shot or passing it off, he tries to walk the defense. And he comes in and he's going to go sideways laterally. And then he realizes he didn't have any space to go towards the net. So he's going to turn around and go back towards the blue line while still carrying the puck. And Orlov destroys him. I mean, he got laid out. And you know what? As much as I love him, he deserved to get laid out. Because you don't carry the puck in the middle of the ice sideways when you're on a power play. You frickin' moron. Shoot the puck. Move on to second period. All right, so it's 2-1 Boston after 2. Now, if you're wondering, this is the combination that was working during the 6-game winning streak. This is the rally cap. As soon as I put it on, about a minute and a half later, Panthers got one, so it's 2-1. Tkachuk with a nice goal. Tkachuk is having himself a game that is just going to make us all insane, because you're seeing the good and the bad at the same time. He's just fully on naked, laying it all out there for everybody to see. All the good parts and all the bad parts. He almost started some shit again at the end of the second period, as if he didn't learn his lesson after the first period, where he went up and cross-checked Hathaway, and it cost us a power play that Boston got. It's cost us a goal, which, by the way, that was Casey Fitzgerald getting absolutely whopped, and then the puck was in the back of the net. Now, you know, I don't know how many playoff games you're going to win when your PK has Mark Stoll and Casey Fitzgerald, but that's what Paul Maurice is throwing out there. So it is what it is. Now, Panthers showed some life there towards the end of the period. I think the next goal wins this game. I think if the Panthers can get this tied, they can either win in regulation or win in overtime. If we go back down 3-1, okay? Ullmark's made some good saves. Bob hasn't really had a whole lot of action. He's had to make a few saves, but nothing nothing. This is stressful. It's very, very stressful. All right. I hope I'm happy the next time you see me, even if it's just overtime at this point, because it was 2-0 for a while, and the arena was dead, and the stream. So far the stream has traded Barkov, Duclair, Ekblad. We fired Paul Maurice. There's a few other moves we made on the stream so far. It's getting crazy, guys. This is, if we have any hope at all, this is the period. Show us what you got, Panthers. All right, so since there's most likely only one game left, and I have probably more people's attention right at this moment than I will have for quite some time. If you enjoy the content on this channel and would like to show it some support, I have a Monday through Friday podcast that I do that's about an hour long every day. That's a $3 a month YouTube membership exclusive. And that podcast is actually going to be becoming longer once hockey season's over and I have time to add to it. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate everybody that came out to the live stream and super chats, and I appreciate all the support. Okay, I'm a bad salesman, so it is what it is. All right, so on this hand, we were lucky to make the playoffs. We only had 92 points. We got in because Pittsburgh blew it. All of that. Okay. And on the other hand, Boston's really, really good. Really good. Okay. Some of that would be acceptable if we were not losing playoff games and playoff series basically in the same manner over and over and over and over again. Now, I'm just going to start at the end by saying whatever goes on here on Wednesday, next season, the top line needs to start off being Bennett, Tkachuk, Verhaeghe. That's the top line. Sam Bennett is our number one center, not Alexander Barkov. He's just not. Even the guys on TNT were giving him grief from time to time today. I'm not blaming Barkov for all of this, but the common denominator through just about all of the playoff series that he's been in is he just disappears. Completely disappears. It's uncanny. It's uncanny, and it is who he is at this point. We need to begin the process of relying on different guys if we are going to ever do anything in the playoffs. Barkov ain't going to do it. That's at this point it's clear. This is without Bergeron, without Krejci. So I'm not saying Barkov sucks, but I think we should all be able to agree at this point that Barkov at 1C with the captain is not going to lead the team to a cup. He might be able to be part of a team that's successful, but he's not going to be the guy that leads us anywhere. He has failed over and over and over and over in the playoffs. That's all I'll say about that. Bob. Again, much like Barkov. Obviously, Bob's salary is a problem. Not going to blame that on Bobrovsky, but his salary is a problem to the rest of the team. It's 3-2 with 9 minutes left in a absolute must-win game in the playoffs at home. And you swipe at the puck and you miss it with your glove and you put it right there in the crease and it's 4-2 and the season is over. Not all his fault, because there was Montour allowing a guy right in front of the net to chip it home. So it's not all Bob's fault. However, I think much in the same way with Barkov. I think at this point, even though it's not all Bob's fault and he doesn't suck, I think we can see by now that Bob is not going to be the guy that leads this team to a Stanley Cup, because during the playoffs, he is wildly inconsistent. Now, last year he was good. The year before he was not good. Play-ins, he was not good. His time in Columbus, he was not good. So last year, I think, was the best Bob we're going to get into the playoffs. Had the rest of the team showed up last year, it's possible that maybe Bob could have made some noise. I don't know if we were going to beat the Avalanche. I don't know if we would have beaten the Rangers. Okay? But he's 34, going to be 35. So we have issues there, because how long do you continue to roll out and say, Bob, starting goalie, $10 million guy, he's the guy that's going to take us to a cup? The window might be closing. Might be closing there. Tkachuk, all of the good, all of the bad was on display. I don't know what else I can say about it. Can Tkachuk be a guy that leads them? Sure. But you look at Boston, and I mean, just the amount of leadership they have on that team. It's not just one guy. It's not even just two. I mean, they're doing this without Bergeron, without Krejci. So there's problems. Tkachuk obviously is the best player on the team. He is the most active player on the team, with the exception of maybe Bennett. But he's got to get it. He's got to get it under control just a little bit. A little bit. Take it out on the ice, not after the whistle, Matthew. Okay. Then you look at the defense. I will say the same thing about Ekblad that I said about Barkov and Bob. It's not all his fault. He doesn't suck. But the window of which Ekblad was going to be the number one defenseman that leads us to a cup, I believe that is also closed. So you see where we are now. We in a way, and I'm not saying Barkov and Ekblad are old, but Ekblad's had the injuries, Bob is getting older, and Barkov has proven to be useless in the playoffs. So the core of our number one guys, number one center, our captain, our number one defenseman, our number one goalie, that's not, it has now been proven that that's not going to get it done. In my opinion. My opinion. Then you add to that the mix of the fact that the Panthers have a tremendous number of contracts to deal with this summer. And it's no wonder that at the end of the game, the Boston Bruins fans were all over the stream. And most of them were nice. There was only one guy that I had to block, because we don't do the trolling, nasty thing. Okay, that's not what this channel is. It's never going to be that way. I will never say, well, I'm going to accept being talked nastily to so I can grow the channel. That ain't going to happen. So I had to block somebody on the stream. But for the most part, people were cool. But the point is that Bruins fans, they got a little taste of concern after game 2, because it was tied. They never would have thought that they were going to lose a game at home. The Boston Bruins lost Krejci, left Bergeron at home, made adjustments, retooled their lineup, and beat the crap out of us both games. Both games. At home. Now, in terms of Maurice, good God help me. Because regardless of whatever your opinion is of Maurice, y'all know that whatever I say, half of you are going to be unhappy with it. So I'm just going to say whatever comes out. I was okay with the deal. Bruno, Maurice, sounds good, okay. As the season began and went on, I wasn't happy with Maurice. Then he started showing some passion. We started winning. I said, okay, all right. Now, I can only judge Maurice so much because look at the lineup that we have out there. Okay? That's Anton Lundell and Zach Dalpe and Ryan Lomberg on the third line. Last year, that was Lundell with Reinhart and Marchment. Now, I don't know what Paul Maurice is supposed to do to suddenly make Ryan Lomberg a third-line winger, because there ain't really anything he's going to do to make Ryan Lomberg a third-line winger. Ryan Lomberg is the prototypical, perfect fourth-line guy. He ain't a third-line guy. And Zach Dalpe was in because we just needed somebody that we could trust to not make stupid mistakes in replacement of Duke, who was our big trade deadline acquisition, who clearly Duclair is just, look, he got benched last year in the playoffs when he was healthy. So I don't want to see a spot held open for Anthony Duclair on this team. We either need to buy him out, send him packing, get whatever we need to do with Anthony Duclair, that needs to go. And then the fourth line. Again, last year our fourth line would have been Luosterainen with Lomberg and Hornquist. Patrick Hornquist. Okay? Instead, we've got Colin White with Nick Cousins and Eric Stahl. Come on now. Come on now. Meanwhile, Luosterainen is trying to do what he can in the top six. He was a really, really good 4C for us last year. He's not a top six winger. Come on. So, as much as I have issues with some of what Maurice has done, look at the names. Look at the roster. It's not good. Okay? It's not a playoff roster. It really isn't. Okay? You've got 4 legitimate top 6 players. Barkov, Bennett, Kachuk, and Verhaeghe. You have 4 legitimate top 6 players. Reinhart belongs on the third line with Lundell. Luosterainen belongs at 4C. So we don't even have a top 6. Last year, our fifth line was so good that it was practically better than what we had on the third line this year. So, when I look at it all, look, nobody's more upset than me, okay? Because, I mean, I just say it. The live streams pay my bills, okay? The live stream makes the house payment. It comes from AdSense to YouTube to my bank account. I write the check, right? So, you know, I was hoping that the season would continue. We'll put it that way. And, but on the other hand, I can't. My heart, it hurts. It hurts my heart. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm mad. But at the same time, man, this is not getting swept by Tampa when we were loaded last year. You see what I'm saying? That was dog shit. With all the players that we had last year, to get swept. Not so much to lose to Tampa, but to get swept with the players that we had last year. That was dog shit. This is kind of going the way you would expect it to go with the names on the backs of the jerseys. It just is. So I have my issues with Maurice, but again, the third line features Ryan Lomberg and Zach Dalpe tonight. How much of that can you blame? You can't blame that on Maurice. We don't have anybody else. It's not like he's sitting somebody that we're going, hey, you know. I mean, my big complaint before the game was I would have liked to see Carlson in over Fitzgerald, who did get walked on 1 goal. But we didn't lose because of that. We lost because those are the only options we have. And we have a captain that disappears every playoffs. We have a number 1 defenseman who was just starting to maybe think about looking decent again, and he got hurt again. And we have a third line that features Ryan Lomberg Zach Dalpe, and Anton Lundell, who you guys know how I feel about Lundell, but he needs to eat a cheeseburger. Please. Kid, I told you this before the season last year. Whatever Barkov did this offseason, Lundell needs to just shadow with Barkov because Barkov bulked up and put on some weight. Not that it mattered during the freaking playoffs. He's still, all you got to do is breathe on him and he gets off with the puck. I've never seen a player change more. And I'm sure maybe some of you might have some examples. But I personally have never seen a player change more from how they play in the regular season to the playoffs than Alexander Barkov. And it is every year just completely disappeared. Just disappears. Not all his fault. It is a combination of we are relying on the wrong guys. Barkov is not leading us to a cup. Bob is not leading us to a cup. Aaron Ekblad is not leading us to a cup. We have problems because we have massive amounts of money tied in those three players, and they all have no move clauses, and that's the guys. That's what we have. So, in terms of the effort on the ice tonight, I mean, they fought back. They did fight back. They got the goal there before the end of the second period. They looked like they had some life. They come out. We give up a goal to make it 3-1. They fought back again to get it to 3-2. The third goal, that was the ricochet one, the one that was deflected, that Bob was going up high and ended up going 5-0. Not necessarily blaming that on him because the puck was deflected. We pull it back to 3-2, and then the fourth goal was just, you're not going to win a cup with a guy that gives up that goal in that space and time. Have you seen how Vasilevsky plays when Tampa was winning cups? Do you think Andrei Vasilevsky gives up that goal in that moment at that time? No, he doesn't. And unfortunately, for the most part, unless you build a super team like Colorado had last year, you need spectacular goaltending. You need timely goaltending. Timely. And I'm going to throw Alex Lyon in there the same way, because the goals that he gave up in Game 3 did the same thing. You had the early one that he missed, and it was still only 2-0 when he missed the late one. So I'm not just picking on Bob. The only difference is Lyon is a third-string AHL goalie who had a magical run, and Bob is $10 million a year, and we're supposed to be relying on him. So that's the difference. But they both did the same thing. It's not, you don't have to give up 5-6 goals to be playing terribly. It's when you give up the goal. It's when you give up the goal. And Paul Maurice is full of shit. And why do I say Paul Maurice is full of shit? Because he told us all that he only pulled Lyon because he wanted to give him some rest, and Bob hadn't played in a while, so he wanted to get him on the ice, and he was fine with Lyon's game, and then he rolled with Bob tonight, which I said before the game I was fine with, and that's fine. But you cannot trust what Paul Maurice says, that's for sure. His reasons for doing things, he's full of shit. So that is what it is in that sense, okay? So when you wrap it all up, the whole big picture, Panther fans, the Bruins are going to go on and do what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to win a cup. I don't think the Bruins are going to win the cup this year. I honestly feel like the Rangers are going to get them. That's just my take. That's just my guess. I don't think Boston's going to win. I don't think they're going to win. Okay? I think they're beating the crap out of an overmatched team right now, but the Rangers are not overmatched the way we are. Okay? The Rangers loaded up at the deadline. I think they've got a goalie that's ready to make that run. I know they lost to New Jersey last night, but they've still only given up 4 goals in 3 games so far. I think the Rangers might be able to beat the Bruins. So you wrap it all up. Boston's going to do what they're going to go do. And you look forward to next year. And this is Bill Zito's do it or die year. I understand that he might have the temptation to attempt to run it back with Barkov and Ekblad and Bob one more time, because contractually it's not like there's much else he can do. And that's the other thing. Okay? How much is he going to be able to... We don't have that much money. Okay? We have some money, but I've said it a million times. Forsling, Montour, Lundell, Luosterainen. Okay? Carlson's an RFA, so he's due for a bump. If they were ever going to let him on the ice, who the hell knows? So we got guys that need contracts. We don't know what the situation Spencer Knight is. So next year, honestly, this might be a bit of a hyperbolic emotional take. But if Zito could find a way to move on from, at the very least, Ekblad and Bob, if we could find a way to do that, it might be time to move on, clear up some cap space, let some kids kind of develop, and take our lumps and try to come back with a Bennett and Tkachuk-led roster 2-3 years from now, because they're still young enough to do that. And that's where we're at now. If you wait too long to do a retool, you're gonna even waste Bennett and Tkachuk. Okay? Barkov can still be a piece of that, but we're paying him so much money to be the guy. He ain't the guy. It's a mess, Panther fans. It's an absolute mess. And I would have to sit with a massive spreadsheet and just look at it all to even get a clear idea of exactly what I think Zito should or even can do. Because there's what he would want to do, what he should do, and what he can do. And I suspect that those are three very different things. In terms of Paul Maurice, the fact that he got this ragtag cast of characters into the playoffs, I guarantee you is going to buy him at least all of next season and probably into the third season before you might even think about seeing any action. But I've said before, I'll say it again, I don't think it's Maurice on the hot seat. I think the next one to go is Zito. This is rapidly turning into his show. Okay? I know he didn't sign Bob. Yando's not his fault. Okay. But the Giroux pick, the Sherratt pick, okay? However much the Spencer Knight contract, these are on him. Okay? So by the time we get to the end of next season, give or take Bob, okay, if he can or cannot move on from Bobrovsky, this is mostly his show. And it's not good. It's not good. We have no picks. The AHL guys have been depleted, and we won't let him on the ice anyway because of Paul Maurice. So I don't know. It's going to be a long, what's that? Bananarama summer? Yeah, it's going to be a cruel summer. It's going to be a long summer. I'm sure I will have at least 2 or 3 dozen videos out dissecting it all and trying to figure out what we should do. But there's what we should do and there's what we can do. And even if you found some sucker for Bob, they're going to want us to eat half the salary, right? And then we don't know what's going on with Spencer Knight. And then should we sign Lyon? I mean, it's just a mess. It's just an absolute mess. And I'm sure now they'll go out there and win Game 5 and give us false hope again. But probably not. The Boston's a better team than us. This should not be a surprise. I know people are upset. I know people are angry. If people thought I was going to come in here and yell and scream and all of that. Last year, yes. Yep, and I just want to be clear for the millionth time before anybody drops a comment. I'm not blaming it all on Bob. I'm not blaming it all on Barkov. I'm not blaming it all on anybody, okay? But at some point, you have to understand and accept that we can love Barkov. We can think he's a great two-way center. Some of you could even think he's worthy of being the captain. But if at this point you still think this guy is going to show up in the playoffs, that might be a bit tough for the rest of us to accept. Okay? Everybody's got their opinions, and that's fine. But if you still think Barkov is going to be a guy that is going to turn it on in the playoffs and lead us, please leave me a comment as to why you believe that. I'll listen. I'll listen. Okay? But I think at this point, the majority of us are pretty much done waiting on Barkov to do that. That doesn't mean he can't be a viable part of the team. But after this debacle, you got to take the COA and give it. I suppose you have to give it to Tkachuk if you can get he's got to bring it down a notch, Chucky, okay? A notch, all right? You can't go hurting the team. That penalty he took at the end of the first period hurt us, and you can't do that. You can't do that. All right. I'm going to go rescue Kyle because he's been live streaming waiting for me to be done here. Stu and I will be back in the morning. Kyle and I will still be streaming the Toronto-Tampa Bay series. I get this question a lot. When the Panthers are done, it's not stopping. If you're interested in the content for this channel, I'll let you in on a little secret here. As soon as Panthers are over, I'm going to do my normal wrap it up type of thing with a couple of videos like I did last year. We're still live streaming every possible playoff game that I can physically, energetically stream because y'all are so generous that I've told you, y'all are so generous during the streams. It pays my mortgage, pays the house payment. It is what it is, okay? I'm honest with you guys about it, all right? And I appreciate that, and you guys know that. I'm very, very open and upfront about that. So we will be streaming as many of the games as we possibly can throughout playoffs, Stanley Cup, whole deal. I'll be doing recaps for whichever games I watch in their entirety, which can't be all of them. I'm going to do as much hockey content as I can. At the same time, once I'm done with the daily Panther stuff in terms of games. Now, before I say this, no hockey content is being taken away. There will be no reduction of hockey content. But I am going to be now full on adding on NFL Miami Dolphins content at the same level, with the same format that I do with the hockey stuff. Okay, so I'm going to be doing both. All right, I've taken a break from the football stuff as hockey has been coming to an end and in the playoffs and everything. But once I'm not doing so much for the Panthers and it's more NHL stuff, it's not as intricate. I can jump to the football. We will be doing both. We have a ton of new stuff coming up for next season. I don't want to get into that too much, but like I said, the podcast right now is Monday through Friday. It's about 45 minutes to an hour long. That is going to be doubling. It's going to be 90 minutes once hockey is over because it's going to be half football, half hockey. Links are in the description. It's $3 a month. That's where it starts. You can be a YouTube member. You can be a Patreon supporter. Either way. That's my goal, to try to build things, because I'll be honest. I'm going to be honest and straight up with you guys. I don't enjoy the sponsors. I don't enjoy doing the Manscaped thing. Was nice. It was fun. And you can still go to manscaped.com, use code FlyingFluff and get 20% off and free shipping. You can still do that. But I think it doesn't jive with the content. I tried to do it a little bit here or there, here or there. They really weren't happy with what I was doing. I really wasn't. That's not the route that I want to go. We'll put it. I would rather have a direct membership for you all and just continue to add content to that membership to make it worth for you guys. And be honest, that helps me have the time and the energy, but it helps me have the time to do all of the other normal free content that I do. This is tough because I'm trying to really make the jump to where this is the only thing I'm doing. But number one, my teams keep losing. Okay, and it's a grind because I don't mind doing the work, but like I'm still doing the eBay stuff, right? I'm still having to do that. So like I get up in the morning, I do the review with Stu, and then I have to switch that off and go to eBay, and then I have to switch back to the hockey at some point during the point of the day. And there's a lot more content and a lot higher quality content I could be creating for you all, but I can't because I still got to spend all this time selling on eBay so I can eat. So I'm in that zone where I can't quite quit eBay yet, but I also need to add content so I can add value so I can eventually quit eBay and just do this. So that's what this summer is going to be a lot about, is trying to get both things running smooth with all of the hockey content, all of the football content, and I'll have more videos out about that. But I get asked a lot of times, people ask me, you know, what are you going to do when the Panthers stop playing? Because we always get new people to the channel. So I just wanted to bring that up. This has been a long season. This really, really has. Really, really has. I mean, the up and the down and the up and the down. And I really thought they were going to win this game today. And we gave up that first goal, and whatever you think about it, whether it was a goal or not, or Bob or not, doesn't matter. They scored first, and it deflated us. And we had some fight in us tonight. We did come back a little bit, but that fourth goal, you can't. And not on Bob. Just whatever situation happened to put that fourth goal in the net, you can't have it in that situation. Can't have it. Can't have it. All right, appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys in the morning with Stu.